Thank you. And you'll mute yourself?
Yep.
Okay. Good morning. We're just waiting for the commissioners to arrive. They had a site visit this morning. They'll be. Good morning, all. We're still waiting for a forum. It will be.
Has the meeting started? Does anybody know?
Hello. The commissioners are on a site visit and they all haven't returned yet.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Can we do a little hit count? Starting with Hugh. Hugh Barber.
John Shovel, Jerry Steins, Paul Barrett.
Get one.
Phil Foreman. Okay. Those are the names, and first order of business, again, if I'm correct, is a public hearing, public
Yes.
discussion.
Our applicant is.
Sign it.
Yeah, 421 Warren Street, public hearing, and our applicant is here in person. And I'm hopefully sharing his application.
Ryan Curran, owner of 421 Warren Street. Thank you, everyone, for today and for the consideration of my application for the sign for Hudson Drive. There's a handout for all of you, and it's on the screen as well. I wanted to address a few key points that I hope will clarify why this sign is appropriate, reasonable, and in keeping with the character of Hudson. First, 421 Warren Street has gone through many changes over the years. Its facade has evolved to fit different eras and uses. So it's difficult to argue for any one definition of what's historically appropriate for this location. In that sense, the building story is one of adaptation, and a new sign fits right into that tradition. You'll see on the main page of, on the main page there, a more recent image a few years ago of the building. And then if you continue on, you'll see that the building, the only original images that I can find from the late 19th century is when it was actually 223 Warren Street for the renumber in 1888. And at that time, it was actually a residence, no storefronts, 2 stories with an external staircase, with the streets being that much further down. On the next image, you'll see as well, on the left-hand side, there's a glimpse of the building. And then sort of, I think, serendipitously across the street, there was actually a house and sign painter advertising for fancy signs.
Okay.
Let's finish. Second, illuminated signs are not a new phenomenon in Hudson. If you look at historic photographs of Warren Street, as I have here, you'll see that signs with lighting, sometimes quite prominent, have always been a part of the commercial fabric. Letting up a business name as part of the city's visual history, and my proposed sign would be a continuation of that. Several images where the city with quite large and prominent neon signs. I want to be clear that this is not a neon sign and doesn't even approach a neon sign in terms of style. But if we're talking about illumination, let's say this is sort of the preference. Third, there are already several internally illuminated signs on Warren Street and just off of Warren Street. Many of these are fully illuminated, including the negative space, rather than just being backlit letters or cutout illumination. You'll see that in the case of the 2 signs for Rivertown Lodge and for Flower Crowds. There are also plenty of examples of surface-mounted illuminated signs and hanging signs with spotlights, all of which result in a similar effect to what I'm proposing for Hudson Drive, though my sign would actually emit less illumination because of its cutout design. The sign I'm requesting isn't out of step with what already exists on the street. So in summary, the sign for Hudson Drive respects the changing history of 421 Warren Street, follows long-standing Hudson traditions, and aligns with what's already present in the neighborhood. Share your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This being a public hearing, we'll start by inviting folks who are not on the commission to state their thoughts. And please go ahead if anybody in the room or anybody online wants to speak. Not so much.
I have a hand raised. Mr. Kopnicki?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me all right this week?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I know the chair made some remarks about precedent a couple of weeks ago. I think the importance of precedent is illustrated here because if you grant approvals,
Speak up.
okay, if you grant approvals, applicants will come in and use those approvals as justification for whatever they're approving. I think I'm not really sure yet.
Mr. Kopnick, is there a way that you could perhaps lean into the microphone a little bit on your end because you're
Let me
coming in and
try-
out?
Okay, I'm
You
going
know,
to try. Yes, okay, let me just try it, please.
You may have sound masking on your machine and need to sit
No,
directly
I
in
am
front.
not. I am not. I've unmuted my microphone, so I'm going to try to do something on my end, and if I can,
Okay.
if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I was
This
at a
is-
meeting. Okay, I was at a meeting yesterday of another group, and I used my microphone, and it was fine. How does it sound now?
Excellent, just talk loudly.
Okay,
Great, thank
all right, thanks. I was just going to say that the risks, potential risks, or of ignoring precedent are illustrated here because precedent will be cited by applicants in order to justify whatever it is that they may want to do. I don't know about the history of lighting, what became the historic district, the Warren Street Historic District in Hudson. However, I think your baseline, if you want to use a baseline, should be the state of the district when it was designated. In other words, what was the situation in terms of lighting when it was designated? My experience with preservation, mostly before I moved to Hudson in New York City, had been with the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission. And there, when a change is made, something like a sign or a design of a building, this gives the commission a certain amount of discretion in order to decide what should happen going forward. And the criteria going forward, in my mind, should be, first of all, using the state of the district as a designation as a baseline. And second, the criteria of appropriateness, which does have to do with the current situation and context in the district. So I don't think that the existence of illuminated signs elsewhere in Hudson or even in the district should necessarily govern what you decide to do here. Thank you very much. And now, Matt, you would like to say something.
Oh, I would just like to point out that one of the reasons that areas have been landmarked.
So someone else is speaking and we can't hear.
Mr.
Mr. McGee, we cannot hear you at all.
I would just like, can you hear me now?
Yes?
Yes? Okay. I would just like to point out that one of the reasons we have landmark districts and individual landmarks is because of what was happening and all the kind of neon and everything that was being put on these buildings and obscuring them. The purpose of landmarking and having districts is to feature the historic and noble accomplishments of the past, not to obscure them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Anyone having their hand up or if there are no further public comments, make the motion to close the public hearing. John? And the second, someone, Paul. Thank you. One favor.
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. We're open a regularly covered ordinary business. And where are we?
First up, we have a review and vote on the draft minutes.
You mute, Mr.
Mr. McGee, Mr. Kopnicki, could you mute yourself?
Yes, I'm
And,
going to. I'm going to do that right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Review the minutes.
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Amendments are approved, and once again, thank you very much, John.
You're welcome. First up, we have votes, a few votes. We have 123, that's Walter Chatham's project, and we're going to sort of do it live here. This was for the adjustment to his home, the home application at 123 Union Street, for the construction of the, I don't think this is the correct C of A. This is for the two-story accessory garage. We're voting on the home adjustment, the porch. They just put in the railing. I'm sorry, what? It should be for the railing porch. Yes.
So can we make a live correction on that?
Okay, so
If
we'll
you want to correct me, she can do it.
we'll come back to that, or?
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Okay, and then next up, we have a vote on 326-328 Allen Street. That was the fence replacement. Mr. Brian, anyway, I can't remember his name, but he's not here, but it's a vote. It's for Brian Bullitt. It was the new fence.
Okay. Do you have the C of A or any questions, or you guys are good?
Yeah, I'll bring up the C of A. Thank you. This is for the demolition of the existing dilapidated backyard fence and construction of the new 6-foot wood fence with a 2-foot topper, which has been completed. It's-
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Motion, John, and second, Paul. All in favor of C of A as approved.
Next up is 209, pardon me, Warren Street. And this was for the hanging sign, the wood vine with vinyl, and the gentleman, the running store, Neighbor Running, I believe it was called. And it was using an existing bracket, and it's a double-sided hanging sign.
Super. John and Jeremy are motion and second, all in favor.
Aye.
C of A is approved.
Okay, next up is 13 South Second Street. And that was the rear 7-foot by 14-foot rear mud room addition.
Hugh makes the motion, John Double second, all in favor.
Aye.
C of A is approved.
Okay, thank you. And now we have, do we have 123 yet? Yeah. Okay. Shall we come back to?
We can come right back to it. I'm wondering, what do you think, Jan? I'm wondering if we should go directly into the discussion of the sign. Since that was the public hearing, I think we've had good information on that. But haven't heard from the commission on Hudson Drive. Ladies and gents.
I think that it's a totally appropriate sign. It is 80% black and 20% of that illuminated. The fact that it's internally illuminated should not really be the issue here. It's more the brightness. And I have walked down Warren Street at night for reflective, externally illuminated signs.
Also to get your steps in.
Get my steps in. It's Sedona, 225, and I have some.
I don't, so if you
Well,
text them to me.
So internally illuminated or externally illuminated does not really make a difference in terms of how bright it is. I would show you,
I would like to see the examples if y'all.
in any event,
Yeah.
you know, the issue here seems that internally lit signs, regardless of brightness, is the issue, the technology, which I don't think should really make.
Would it change your opinion if this sign was fluorescent? It's a bright fluorescent sign?
Well, it's not,
Would it?
I don't know. I've never had photos.
I just stand on what you said, which is interesting, that for us to use what the source of illumination is, we could, but I think it's kind of unhelpful. There's a huge difference between signs that are internally illuminated with what the gentleman said before, the negative space is also illuminated, and it creates a different visual, stronger impact. When it is simply the lettering that is illuminated, I don't know if we should be concerned about source, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's totally appropriate, it's well designed, it's minimally lit, and, you know, I don't know why we would put this.
I'm, on one hand, I, you know, regarding precedent, we had a disagreement perhaps last meeting, Bill, where you spoke about that each application should be considered in and of itself without as much consideration for precedent.
To the degree that we can, yeah.
I stand on the opposite side of that. I think once you approve an illuminated sign, it's very difficult to not approve the next one. As long as the applicant can make an argument that it was something that you approved before. We rely on precedent all the time here for both approving and disapproving in the rare instances where we disapprove.
Okay.
That said, I do think this sign is slightly different. So what I was concerned about is a brightly illuminated, even if it's presented low voltage to us, the voltage can always be changed. It can be, even if it's a dim sign now, it can be changed differently. It doesn't seem to me that this sign can. In other words, if it's a small amount of illumination, someone just mentioned 80%, black, and a small amount of illumination, it doesn't seem that this can be easily ramped up and made into something brighter that would disrupt the character of the historic district. And I think if we want to consider the type of exception that we would make to the no bright illuminated sign, this might fall into that exception. So that said, there's a very good argument of much of if you look at the views of illuminated signs in historic districts, it's not generally favorable, right? I think there's many districts, Cambridge, others, that are not favorable to these, to illuminated signs. So if we have just a general ban on them, this won't fit. But if we have a ban on illuminated signs of a certain type, this would probably be something that fit. I'm of two minds on this particular sign.
Let me suggest that illuminating the entire sign and generally including negative space, to me is a sea change difference from what Hudson Drive is proposing in the sign.
Can I ask you a concern? One other question is, so we would differentiate a sign like this from other signs that we've seen where they're fully, say, plastic and illuminated as a box, right? And they either have the ability to send out a great deal of light or they aren't presented, so they would send out a great deal of light. We would then, if we look back at the Hudson Mariner, the large sign proposed for 3rd Street, it wouldn't be would it be the illumination that's problematic for us? Or would it be the illumination because of where it is?
That
Or the
was,
scale of the sign?
John, that was a bit of everything. The disagreement with the applicant, and we had a bit of discussion on it, is the commission view that 3rd Street is an integral part of the historic district. It is not a highway, and it does not do well for the neighborhood and our sense of what a historic neighborhood is. To put out essentially a highway sign on the blank side of the building with no clock. I thought not much about it, but it was good.
Okay. So I just would think that whatever we all decide to do, I think it's important to give the community and the town some predictability so that we have a strong rationale. And I would consider going either way on this sign. Right?
Like I said, I referred to SHPO, and their number one rule right out of the box is they strongly discourage internally illuminated signage. That's like their number one thing.
I find it, just for myself, an insufficient categorization. It doesn't mean anything except that's the source of the light. The intent of what we're trying to do here is not to ban categories of anything. The intent is to maintain a kind of attitude and accessibility to the architecture of the street, while still giving people full opportunity to have commercial street speech, identify their building, and talk to customers. If we stay on those grounds, I think we're fine. I'm not supporting some category based on source of electricity as a solution.
So, yeah, quickly, I agree with what you're saying, and that there doesn't have to be the black and white part line. But I think the exception is if this building has
a lit up sign in the past for a retail store, it would be much easier to say that it makes sense in this context. I don't think that just because that there are some other signs dotted around and precedent that that's enough of a reason to allow it, because then it can multiply, and it could be pink, you can do LEDs in color, you can do, where are we making these?
Well, first of all, it cannot be, because we have to approve it, and I continue to believe that there's a lot of value in one case at a time. What we are protecting is a kind of disruption, basically, and signs start out in life with the intent to disrupt. Yeah. So we are mitigating the intent of commercial speech to disrupt, to be cohesive and consistent with the neighborhood. There's just a world of difference between different types of signs. Illumination is one factor, scale is one factor, design is one factor, placement is one factor, adjacency to other similar products is another factor. We look at all of that. We say that it's about the source of electricity, first me down. Right, you and I talk, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of sympathy for John's argument, as you know, that, and what Mr. Kovnicki was saying, actually, that precedent does make a difference, because as soon as, and we see it in this very application. At the same time, I think this is why we have a commission of 7 people instead of an AI app that just applies precedent. We do have to take into account the circumstances of each individual application. And I do think, as Paul was saying, as a category, internally illuminated signs are problematic in the historic district. I think actually we all agree with that. That's why we're spending so much time discussing each and every one that comes before us. But I do think that we need to look at, we understand those big box signs that are plastic with stick-on letters, and they're illuminated and they're bright. There are some of those on Warren Street because they're grandfathered. They were here before the Historic Preservation Commission existed. And that, to me at least, was why it was very difficult to refuse the application from Flower, because it was a little teeny sign right across the street from a great big giant sign. And you had to sort of say, in the context of that particular neighborhood, that north of 7th Street or east of 7th Street block, there were a number of existing plastic signs. In this case, you're applying all of those things. I think this design is tasteful and minimal. I think we have to ask ourselves, would the sign be more disruptive if it were externally lit than it is with this internal illumination? And in my perspective, it would be much brighter if there were spotlights on either side of the sign than it is with this amount of light coming out through a black background. So I'm kind of in where John is, but I do think it fits with the surrounding neighborhood.
I feel like we're conflating a lot of things and keep moving the target on it. Sometimes we're talking about luminosity, sometimes we're talking about scale. And you're right, these are all factors. But I think SHPO is making this decision because they feel like it's incongruous to have technology against these facades, not necessarily the luminosity of the sign. I could be wrong, but I think it's more about applying technology on top of old buildings. And that's what we're not talking about here. We're saying, oh, this one's brighter and this one's less bright. I don't think they care about that. I think they care about putting technology against these facades. I could be wrong, but that's the sense that I get.
That's their verbiage, it distracts from.
Right. And so I think that's the piece we need to talk about, because we can argue that this sign's brighter, it's 50%, well, what side of does it fall on? That applicants get caught in the crosshairs. They're like, I don't know, it could be, they could approve it, they could not approve it. So I think we need to make a decision about that piece, and then we can talk about if we want to luminosity or scale or the design of it is incongruous or not, but like, for me, that's the piece we need to talk about.
I don't agree with you, which is sort of shocking, because I know how smart you are, and I know how smart I'm not. I still think that disruption is a big consideration. What we're trying to do is, create a little bit of a fantasy, with all the wonderful historic architecture. And Hudson being Hudson, there's 100 different ways people approach that fantasy. I so much prefer this kind of design, the soft light, than spotlights shining on things. So if we say, okay, internal illumination is quid pro quo bad. Spotlights are quid pro quo good. How about reflective lettering for spotlights? Is that quid pro quo good? And so on. There's no easy solution other than sticking to the notion that people's experience on the street should include commercial speech, but shouldn't be damaged by commercial speech. That's all I can think of. I understand that SHPO may have said modernism is not okay, but look where we are. We've introduced new materials. There is the amazing introduction of hardy plank, or whatever that is, about 10 years ago, and all kinds of stuff have happened since then.
Exactly, all of it.
This is Hudson.
Janet on the screen, two examples of how bright the reflected signs are with external lighting, far brighter than what we're talking about. You walk down and see Savona, you can see it from like, yeah, 7th Street. And then the other one,
225.
225, which is the other photo.
This is the best, I'm sorry for the resolution, but this is Savona at night.
Yes, that's Savona at night. And this is 225, string lights, very high water reflective lights. That you can see from very far away, and the neighbors have an issue with it. There's no gills. I mean, it's very bright. So this sign that we're talking about is far less bright. And even if it's amped up to the max of that fixture gets tape, it wouldn't come close enough, like it seems like.
Thanks for taking the shot.
Just feel that's very approved. Illuminated signs on the street.
So, commissioners, are you okay to at least starting to vote in terms of the complete application? Is there anything incomplete about the application that could go forward? Make a motion to find the application complete. Paul and Miranda, all in favor? We're not waiving public hearing, we're having a public hearing. Can we ask the city attorney to prepare a C of A for Hudson Drive as presented? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4.
To prepare the COA or
Yes, that's true.
Prepare the C of A. I'm sorry, Kim, I'm off my game.
Did you get a motion in a second?
Yes,
You and John.
you and John. All in favor of that motion to request the city attorney to prepare a C of A? Hands up. Jeremy, you, Bill, Miranda.
is for the approval of the sign?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Kim, are you voting? What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, and, just let me see the negatives again. John? Paul? And, Kim, 3, the ayes have it. What was the vote over again?
123, which I have now.
Okay.
Let me just, okay. Yes, okay. Second, I will share it. Okay, this is 123 Union. This was Walter Chatham's project. It is for it was the amending the existing application for he was going to remove the porch. He's now keeping the side porch and including the construction of a railing, and our code enforcement officer, Peg, approved it. And the replacement of the windows pursuant to the specifications of the code enforcement and the commission.
Okay, so we're voting on approving the C of A as prepared by the city attorney. Motion, Hugh and John Shovell. All in favor? Are there any opposed? Approved.
Okay, and should I fill in today's date, or will you do that?
Yeah, I did the application date, when they meant their application.
You will do that. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then submit it to Craig.
Okay.
And Phil. Chairman.
Commissioner, do you want to go to the new applications in, or should we go back and follow up on Partition Street?
I don't see Partition Street in the,
We didn't put in the agenda continuation, but we can choose to go back to Partition Street or go through the district. You want to, Joe? Okay.
so I think,
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so discussion is open on Partition Street. And at this point, I'd like to hear from the commission. There's also more a public comment coming in both in writing and some of the stuff that people brought up on the street. Did you all receive the public comment letters that I sent out yesterday?
yes.
Has everybody a chance to review? Let's, I meant that seriously, because if not, I have hard copies. I do want to be sure we catch all of it or as much as we can.
I have downloaded the letters that I received, all of them. But
Okay, there were a couple that I want to go to that are sort of archetypical of the points raised and that I thought were particularly well crafted. And we can always refer to some of the others. Is there a way to put more light on ours and I'm
Yes,
on a good day?
can.
You want to read it?
Are you reading next up or you?
No, this is,
That's what we got.
yeah. Thanks, John.
So it's from, you want to see who it's from? Yeah, sure. That's good.
Britt.
Rick Zuckerman writes, hello, Phil. I wanted to express my support for Nine Partition. Conversation whether Nine Partition is street or alley feels somewhat academic. It is a place where people walk. It's a place where interactions of Hudson's urban life happens. The new design includes bay windows that are appealing and interesting. It is a visual activation that engages with the surrounding architecture and streetscape. If opposition is focused on blocking views, it feels like elitism and potentially NIMBYism. No view in Hudson is sacred. We are not a city of open vistas and expansive landscapes. My personal view is of crumbling shed rooftops, bliss towers, and row houses. One day it will change, and those houses will have new coats of paint or new additions that may shade my garden. Such is the charm of living in a living and breathing city. I've honestly always felt that the current Nine Partition low building is out of place. Scale of its neighboring building with substantial porch and fire staircases are wildly out of proportion to its neighboring building dwarf it. I would like to compliment the architectural design of the very talented Chip Bull. Others may argue it's a matter of taste. However, as a designer, I would argue that isn't true. Good design is good design and not a matter of taste. To be clear, Mr. Bull has presented a very thoughtful and elegant solution with this design. The proportions, materiality, and balance of fenestration is excellent. I will, however, leave one final thought. The addition is good from a practical value add. We need more housing. The addition provides lodging. but satisfying the consistent drumbeat of gentle density. Thank you for your consideration, Brett.
Oh, one more positive, and then I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
I'll go to counter. This is Peter Franklin.
All right, Mr. Foreman, I'm ready to express my strong support for the project at 9 Partition. The project is thoughtfully designed to complement the character of our historic neighborhood while providing much needed housing that makes use of underutilized space. The proposed design is a fine example of 21st century design that respects the historic scale and architectural details of the district, ensuring that will enrich the lasting built environment. Infill projects like this are vital for preserving the integrity and vibrancy of historic neighborhoods. By encouraging new development on previously developed land, we reduce pressure on open spaces, encourage walkability, and strengthen the sense of community. The house will add value to the neighborhood without detracting from its historic character. I believe this project strikes the right balance between honoring our past and planning responsibly for the future, and I hope it will inspire similar infill development for us. I encourage the commission to support it.
The first paragraph on this, John, I thought was an excellent summary of the objections to the project. It's from Liz Hooley.
Great. And Schooley writes, hello again. I understand that the HPC commissioners will be conducting a site visit. My husband and I will be unable to attend the meeting afterwards, but I wanted to send a quick note to reiterate our concerns about the proposed project. Our chief concern is that the building will set a precedent for other oversized developments on Partition, which today is functionally an alley with mostly one-story carriage houses and garages. If more structures of a similar height and construction are built on Partition, it will significantly change the feel and character of the neighborhood. We very much appreciate your thoughtful consideration and continued stewardship of our ward. That's Liz, Eliza.
There are many more. We can keep on trucking, but do the commissioners feel they've had heard well from different sides of the argument, or do you want more information?
Do you have one more that sort of, does anyone have one more that they want to read that balances out the pro views and con views?
I probably do. I'm not that talented. Stuff came in 3 different emails.
Right, I mean, there were many of these. Do you have anything you liked?
I have them in my file. Jay Metz, letter of concern. Jay Paywall, letter of concern. Madero, letter of concern. S. Webb, letter of concern.
Okay. I remember the point.
Did any of them sort of find some sort of middle ground or way forward? And I don't. I copied a bunch, but
I think it was this S. Webb letter. I thought was interesting was the massing, that it takes up the entire lot.
the size issue's been stale. Any other, was there a balance, or was there a thought of a way forward on that?
Not on that one.
Okay, we got.
I think they tend to be on either side of the issue.
Yeah, they were. It is true. Commissioners? Are you okay to discuss? Do you want more time?
I think we have to discuss it. Or do you think we should go?
No, I want to hear from anyone on the commission. Maybe we'll present one another at different points.
Well, I think I'd have to echo a lot of what Rick Zuckerman said, but I think that the bottom line is I'd like to see the appropriate development of infill buildings. I think the fact that the TKG building on the corner is already there, I think it sort of softens the fact, particularly with the extension that they put on the back. You know, I mean, I think it's a perfect use for the site.
So you're saying there's a kind of, it eases you into the street because of the height of the building at the end.
I appreciated the site visit today for sure, seeing the context, the elevation change in the road, you know, the massing, it being as of right along with variances, you know, that's within the ZBA. So that is objectively, that's been deemed acceptable, right? And then the other piece, of course, that we felt on the site visit is a lot of feedback from the neighborhood, of course, and, you know, the question of privacy, et cetera. And that's hard because I don't know how we apply that necessarily to historic appropriateness. And that's a fine line to try to have influence those decisions in, so I think it's the objective. And that's kind of where I'm a little bit stuck in my head as to how I feel about it. For the aesthetic, the materials, I think, Phil, you said this a ton of times, that when we have this infill, the opportunity for new construction, there is, again, the opportunity to get to do something that's different that Perkins wants here. It's not going to be, you know, exact, you know, surrounding it, right? Yeah.
And that perhaps should not be the issue between people that don't show. The relationship between additions and primary buildings in terms of differentiation is made a great deal of, or at least was, should probably change their minds again, but I think that that is a fair point. The introduction of new materials and somewhat new architectural ideas is not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing.
But what, did it receive ZBA approval?
Yes, it's approved. The variance is approved. We, by the way, I did talk to Victoria. We can choose to choose whatever we want to choose, but it is approved.
I agree with a lot of the things that have been said about infill architecture. As you know, I'm including more contemporary architecture in the totality. I think this design does a really interesting and thoughtful job of making a transition between the typical row houses of Hudson and something that's new. I do feel some concern about the mass of the building. I actually lived for 6 months in 17 Union Street, which is the house that belongs to my cousin. And so I'm very familiar with the view from that area. Looking out, I think it's mitigated by the tremendous difference in height between Union Street and Partition Street, that nearly half of the height of this building is actually absorbed by the combination of the rise from Partition to Union and the fact that most people have fences that are 6 to 8 feet tall in the back of their property. So that also conceals part of the building on the other side. We did not allow an applicant who wanted to completely fill their lot on Union Street with a building, because we, among other things, felt that this was going to be a real impediment to life and family use. Adjoining properties, it's on the same level. Here, there are 2 very tall buildings that are within the scope of that view, the Hinderbrook Group building and also the factory building. And yes, looking out from your 2nd-story window, you will see the top of a building there, but it's not looming over the houses on Union Street. The one little concern that I have is that the ZBA approval was for 35 feet. And the design is 35 feet plus a 3-foot parapet plus a roof garden. No, is the 3-foot parapet within the 35-foot limit?
Yes, the very top of the roof, top of the guardrail that protects the deck, the roof deck. The top of that is 35 feet.
Okay.
The roof deck would be actually at 32 feet.
Thanks for clarifying. And in that case, and also certainly that is an area area of Hudson that, whether we like it or not, is going to be developed over the next few years. And I think it's our responsibility to make sure that it's developed with architecture that's sensitive to the surrounding history. I think this building is that.
I think it's too big. Yes, I think the mass is too big for the space. I know limited city and village will be built. But our, you know, it's about appropriateness now. What will be or may not be. You know, I come back and forth. The design is nice, shit is talented. People want to build what they want to build. I've been on that side of it. But I think in this particular case, there's a slightly less monumental building. Appropriate.
Other folks?
I don't know if I have a lot to add that's new to the equation, but I do have the same concerns about massing, that it feels pushed to the edge.
It aligns with what's there, but
Yeah.
but it's a structure. On the other hand, it's a narrow property.
You have to maximize the space.
I have a comment if it's appropriate to make. I think that if you were, this is going to be too weird a statement, if you were to break down what we're trying to do and what makes people love historic streets and stuff is in a world of occasional nonsense and crap, there's an authenticity and an intentionality to preservation that for me, I find common. There's also an authenticity or intentionality to architecture when it's really, really good. I think, just my opinion, I'm one vote of the minute, and people know more than me for sure, that Chip's work is actually pretty brilliant. And having that quality modern piece in Hudson is totally appropriate. And in fact, adds value to the scene that we have, that people come to visit in part, because we have so much great architecture.
I don't think anyone's questioning the design necessarily of, or I
Well,
think
the size is part of, I mean,
it is.
when I
but
say design, I'm assuming the whole package, the intentionality of the scale, of the space, of the materials.
I mean, I did have concern too about the massing and the fact that it fills this site, but I also thought that was a bit plan because when you look at the warehouse next door, that pretty much fills this site, and of course the TKG building, so I like that it aligns itself with everything else that's going on.
It creates urban movement, doesn't it, right? Like it looks as though it does a little microcosm for a city.
It's a great phrase, John.
I would, and this is a very difficult one, I would remind, because I've been doing this, we've been doing this a long time, right, for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think that on the very few new construction projects that we've approved, I think they've generally been successful, right? So if we look at precedent, we have that Mark Gonzalez house, and it's been pointed out how different that is than this. In some ways, it is very different, right? But it is a brand new structure in the middle of a residential area that made an impact. And we thought about that very hard before we approved it. The other is right next to Ackerman, which is that building that fell down. We worked a long time to make sure that it's replaced. And we, that went on, we worked on that for 6 months, at least maybe a year. So I think that we try to be as sensitive as possible. In my opinion, this project falls into that category. It falls into the category of something special and worthwhile. And I'm extremely sympathetic to those individuals who are gonna have their views altered and the street altered. I really am. But if we're gonna allow new construction, this is the new construction that we should be advocating for. And I think looking at where it is on that specific corner, doesn't mean that we're changing the whole characteristic of partition. When you go up into a partition, it doesn't mean we're changing it. The other thing has been advocated by multiple constituents and homeowners. Partition Street, we allow the demolition of single-story structures all the time, replacing it for multi-story structures on partition. It is changing, right? It's different than 3 structures. But I think the idea of putting a house where this small garage is and a house that's thoughtfully has a garage in it, you know, it looks like what it is. It's an urban townhouse with a characteristic of somewhat industrial nature that seems perfect for that site.
Very interesting. My brothers and sisters, are you okay to start putting, finding the application complete?
Can I say one more thing?
Oh,
Because the question of massing and zoning, that seems to all have been punted to this board, right? It seems to us that we're being the last refuge, and we have to make all decisions about whether this project should go ahead. And there's other bodies in the city that should also be, it shouldn't all be upon us, right? In terms of appropriateness, we always should rule, but this question of massing that concerns everybody, that's also for the zoning board. It's not really only for us.
So zoning, it's a set of criteria that's an effect within height and width.
And they made an exception to it for this building.
And they can do that, we're more about, what's appropriate for that spot right now. That's what we did. And I'm on the other side of it. Awesome. So,
So that was my only point, right? It just seems that we end up picking up slack for a broader.
For planning as well. But that to transition those boards contiguous to,
Chip, can I ask one question? Is the variance change for the overhang? The requested variance change, was that for the overhang on the front of the building?
The bay window that projects beyond the property line was addressed in the zoning board of appeals. However, the ultimate decision for that goes to the common council because it's.
Sure.
I'm on the council.
Yeah.
So this issue is something that the council has had to address before. And this application is going through various stages. And depending on how you all vote today, I've already talked to our attorney at the council. The next step would be for us to prepare something for the council vote on to allow essentially its airway. For this, and we have done that in the past. This is not an insane, it's overhanging. There are a lot of bay windows. There's a new construction on Warren Street. It's 111 Warren, they have a similar situation where the windows are out over the sidewalk. So this is something that will eventually make it fair to the council.
Thank you. That's helpful. Thanks.
commissioners,
Something with the variance change.
can we have a motion on the application that would be John and Kim, all in favor?
Aye.
The application is determined to be. We have had a public hearing, we've had a public site visit. So we don't need to further waiting. We can take a vote, a roll call vote, for those in favor of requesting the city attorney to prepare a C of A is what's on the table. And start with Jeremy. You, John.
Can I say one thing before I vote?
Sorry, John.
Can we make sure that we do not lose sight of how grateful the commission is, public, for their input on this? I don't think we've ever seen this much commentary, thoughtful, submissions to us, and it really put, I don't think I've ever thought more diligently, or tried to think more diligently about a project. And with that, with all of that, I voted.
Rand? Paul Barrett?
Yay.
Kim?
Yay.
Bill? Yay. The project's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. John, that was, that was very well said. And sure.
We have a few continuations. We have 119 Warren Street. Is Craig on the line?
He may be away.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Craig.
I'm here.
We have, yes, hello. We're discussing 119 Warren Street, the illuminated sign, Taiga Restaurant. Were you able to meet with the gentleman or see about the removal without harm from the pilaster, the steel?
No, he had not contacted me to schedule anything for that.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll just move on. Next up is 117 Warren Street. I believe our applicants are here. The HPC's application, it was a completed application. We just needed specs, materialities, which we have, I believe.
Yes, good morning. I'm the architect for Barbara Burns, the owner. Barbara's here as well. So we were with you 2 weeks ago to introduce our project generally. It's a two-story garage on an alley, Cherry Alley, behind 117 Warren. So we rather simply put together just a three-piece palette. We have two paint colors and a light fixture that we're proposing on the back of the building. Well, the whole building will be painted, or we're proposing that it's painted this Charleston gray, which is the same color that 117 Warren is painted on the. Or, I'm sorry, what did I say? Charleston. Sorry, Gettysburg, right? Which is the same color that's on the Warren Street side of the building. You see on the right margin a couple of colors we considered, but we're presenting today just the pairing of the kind of taupish color with a black color for the doors and windows. And then a simple downlight over the man door itself. It's about a 10-inch diameter fixture over the people door on the outside. So this is just a presentation of a number of buildings on that alley. It's a rather eclectic mix of two-story structures, one-story structures, old structures, new structures. One kind of change in thinking that we've had since we presented the project last is to use like a horizontal siding, which is super common on the alley. That change was precipitated by a closer look at our neighboring building, which actually uses a vertical board siding. And just given the eclectic nature of the alley, we thought we would propose something contrasting with the neighbor, subtly contrasting, rather than simple.
Do you want to speak to this image?
It's just a reference image for us if any questions arise. That shows any of the garages on the back alley. Mixture of, there's the 410 building with the orange door, top left. And then the neighboring building is this one. If you
if we look zoomed in on that image, we can see the actual pattern of vertical boards. And then many of these buildings, this one, all include horizontal siding, something that's called novelty siding, with a little scoop curve in top. Many of them include novelty siding. Okay.
I have this document as well.
So the notes on this page just highlight some of those colors and materials.
Did you determine the final wood siding? I'm just looking at past minutes. I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, but the things that were listed as the rating on the wood siding. Windows, doors, lighting. Is that part of it?
So it could be wood siding or it could be a composite. Composites are much easier to paint, but it's, what we're proposing today is a novelty siding similar to the neighboring buildings, about approximately nearly 8-inch exposure which is the base dimension. And then the overhead door is designed as having like a vertical board in it. That would be painted the black color or material palette, as would the 2-panel entry door, the black light fixtures proposed, and then black frame windows above. So we could use wood materials. I think composites would be more durable, need less maintenance. And then it's all proposed to be painted, no natural finish.
So I think we're just looking for specific specs so that the code enforcement officer knows exactly the materials or specifications that were approved for the windows if you're going with Anderson and Marvin, and we want to know the materiality of that window or siding is. That is important to us. So I think that will fill out the package, the application rather. We can get that.
Do you have a spec sheet in the pack for the windows, for example?
No, we don't. Yes. I mean, I have a Marvin aluminum clad window. I present that today, and a Simpson fir door that's painted.
Yeah, you can email them, I think, to Jan, and we just need it for the complete application. I know it's a little bit of housekeeping, but it's important so that we actually know what's in it.
Okay, that wasn't.
The same decision on the glass on the side.
The side, yes.
You know whether you are going to do the composite or.
Okay.
The purpose is that the code enforcement officer needs a full application so he can compare it to what we produce to declare you compliant.
Okay.
But I think with that said, if we're getting that information, we've done it for Pat, we can draft this.
We can do it. If I'm presenting something that's generally agreeable to the board, it's silly to go through specifications for something and then have it rejected.
It's not,
I know you're not voting.
we're not trying to trap you.
I know you're not voting today, but it's a little bit of a circular process up here.
Doesn't have to be.
I have no idea what history I'm trying to emulate in this application.
That's correct. So, could we agree novelty siding for the siding?
Absolutely.
And send us a spec on that? And can we agree Marvin plaid for the windows? And you'll send us a spec sheet on that? And I don't think anyone's contracted on that.
And I think there's a misunderstanding about what we need. We don't actually rule on the colors. That's not something that's a concern to us. It's the materials of the building itself.
Their door specs.
I can provide those. I'll package all of that.
As you said, there's four, so we won't surprise one another.
You can add it to the document that you sent with the lantern, with your overhead line, your lighting and the colors. As Miranda said, we don't necessarily care about paint, but just add another page and specify Marvin.
Sure.
Aluminum clad windows. Here's the door, whatever that branding is, and here's the sign.
Yeah. And forgive me for my unfamiliarity with the process, are we taking the public hearing on this application as well?
Only if we requested, and there's no indication that would be necessary here.
Okay.
Okay, so the process would be,
It's already been, so if we approved it just so you, everyone knows, we approved it 2 weeks ago with the condition that our applicant return today with the materiality specifics or to complete the
So
application.
we don't have it, we're gonna try to go forward then.
We can have the city attorney prepare a C of A with the condition
That we received
that
that.
we receive the completed
Is
application.
that what clear? We're trying to move the.
Yes, that would be terrific, I agree.
Yeah, if we get the specs, and, get them to the city attorney, that will show up in a single page document, the actual certificate.
Yeah.
And we would vote on that 2 weeks from today.
Very good.
That's the path forward.
We'll provide that very quickly.
Thank you. So, we actually have nothing to vote on. But
We want to vote on it with the contingency now and just do that.
let's vote on, the predicate that the contingencies that we noted are going to be addressed by the applicant, in which case, if fulfilled, we vote in 2 weeks. I make that motion. Second, all in favor? Aye. Agree.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the kids say nowadays, but wait.
What else we got?
Okay, we have 541. This is the renovation of a storefront at 541 Warren Street. The applicants are here in person.
Oh, terrific.
Hi, good morning. This is Courtney. I'm joining virtually. I think Emily and Will are there in person with you. Nice to see you all again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great.
Just to, I'm going to, there's a document sent to me.
Is it okay if I share?
Of course, love
Okay,
that.
great. Okay, so thanks again for meeting. Again, my name is Courtney Wollaston of Seawall Architecture, and with us today is also Jennifer Boswell from our team. We presented 2 weeks ago for the restoration renovation of the storefront facade and side window at 541 Warren. So a couple weeks ago, we reviewed with you the scope of the project to restore the facade to have these panels in a white cream color. When we went through the process, there were a couple items that came up about the placement of the existing brick facade over the property line and some specification questions. So I'm going to review our whole proposal one more time, if anybody missed it last time. And then I would like to talk more about what you asked us to come clarify. So the existing storefront, as I'm sure you all know, is an existing brick facade with glass infill, a ramp up to a commercial door, and a window to the left of the storefront. Our proposal is to drop the sill of that one window and create a second entrance. And in the discovery of the brick facade, there is an existing steel lintel and beam up in holding the facade of the brick on the 2 stories above. This brick in front is essentially in front of that wall, and it's encroaching by 0.3 feet, so 3.6 inches. When we were discussing last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, we were saying that we were going to put paneling in front of the brick, and it came up as an issue that we would be making an encroachment worse condition. So we've gone back with a contractor and some detailing and saw that it's best to take out that brick facade that is only supporting itself and replace that entire wall with light gauge framing, insulation, insulated glass, and build it back where it is to not make the encroachment worse than it already is. There's obviously the water table details come out past that brick facade. And one other item that we clarified here is that we've widened this entrance to the commercial area. If you've ever gone in there, it is quite tight. So we've widened it slightly and added some more paneling around it. So, excuse me.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just for clarification. So, the original facade of this building was flush with the rest of it, of the building, right?
No.
And that's,
Oh,
you
sorry.
never noticed it was constructed? It was
The
constructed
historic version?
Like when the building was created, was it, this didn't jut out into the
No.
sidewalk?
No, it looks like it was flush with a smaller water table, and then the maybe fluted cast iron columns were set even back from that. It looks like the whole storefront, it's a little hard to tell.
Are you gonna pull the whole structure off, or are you just pulling off the brick facade and replacing that?
Just the brick
It's just-
facade and replacing that with the wood panels, and then the ability to insulate behind it.
Right, so to go back to a single flat facade, like it existed in that historic photo, isn't really, it's not in the cards for us. It's gonna be proud of the main plane of the building regardless.
Yes. So the water table, all of the water table and how that's built up, which is where the beam lies, will stay in that plane. So we're not changing that. We're only taking off the dental mold, and the brick
I see.
underneath that is coming down. So we're keeping that original projection. We don't want to mess with it. So other than
So you
obviously
guys-
decoratively.
So you're using that same structure. It's not as though it's only incrementally more work to to put it back to a single plane.
Correct. So we're just replacing the finish, basically. The brick is changing to paneling. And the windows enlarge.
And we are losing the little roof material over the top of the cornice there. For the water table.
And so that will
right.
remain. That gets replaced with a new roof.
But we won't have to see it because you're putting a tablature across from it, right? Like across the entirety.
I think it's still gonna be there.
Well, it
Oh, so-
exists and it will be replaced.
Yeah, you'll still see that whole.
Yeah, so this projection, this water table projection will stay as it is. The dental molding will come out. The roof will get replaced with a roof in kind. And these windows are enlarged. The brick changes to wood panel.
So the roof is in kind what? It's in kind the wood?
Asphalt shingles.
No, so we're gonna do a standing seam metal roof in this terracotta finish. Okay.
You'll still have that.
Yeah. Thoughts or feelings? Do we move
So
forward?
Okay,
I
so
think we're good. Unless we missed something, we've been through this few.
Are there other
Are there
updates?
other changes from the last presentation?
from the last presentation, no, I've mentioned everything. You just asked us for more specs. We did have the door spec, the glass spec. It has to meet the energy code of SHGC and the U factor. The door will be an exterior grade insulated E-Series door from Anderson. So we have that spec on here. And previously we did have the paint spec, the light spec, and that metal roof spec.
Motion to find the application complete. Paul?
Yes.
Miranda? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to waive the public hearing and request the city attorney verify them Jeremy and John, on favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Done.
Thank you.
So
So
in
again,
2 weeks, we will vote on the certificate of appropriateness and you're up and running.
Okay, great. Thank you. Have a good day.
Next up, we have some new applications. We have 31 Allen Street, solar panels.
Yeah.
Is 31 Elm Street here?
Is 31 Allen Street online to talk about the solar panels?
Going once, going twice.
31 Allen Street. Okay. Next up is 320 Warren Street. That's for a wall sign for Play Pop. Is Play Pop online today? Play Pop?
Say that again.
320 Warren Street. No. And I do have a hand raised by a citizen. Mr. Kopnicki, is,
Yes, can you hear this citizen?
yes, I can, Mr. Kopnicki. How are
You can't?
I can, yes.
You can't hear me at all. Oh, you
We
can.
hear you, sir.
Can hear you.
First, you can hear me. Okay, first of all, I would like to say that if there were going to be a discussion and vote on 9 Partition Street in addition to the notice of the site visit, that should have been on the agenda.
Yes, I agree. It's my omission.
Okay, second, on this question of technical matters, I'm very puzzled by this because I must say that your meetings, the sound from the room, people speaking in the room, is not always clear or decipherable. There are other meetings where there's no such problem. For example, the Public Works Board, I had no problem understanding people, members of the public who were speaking from that room. Conversely, yesterday I went to a meeting of the Community Development and Planning Agency remotely, spoke with my microphone, same computer, same microphone. They had no problem hearing me at all. So I don't know who is managing the technical matters now for the city, or there are several different people doing it for different meetings. I think the city should have one person whose job it is to monitor.
Mr. Kopnicki, we can't really hear you. Unfortunately, it's going in and out. I don't know if we heard
I
others
want to
that there's.
suggest that perhaps the problem is not entirely on my end, and
Your audio is entirely on your end. We've been able to hear a dozen or so
I
other than
was
you.
just trying to explain, and apparently you could hear me when I started, and then you couldn't hear me. I was trying to explain the inconsistency of sound coming from the meeting room, and also inconsistency in whether people can understand what I'm saying or not. Because I've got a meeting yesterday and spoke.
We didn't have this problem with anybody else, so I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I don't know whether you have do you know whether you have the problem with anyone else or not?
I can't even hear you. I can't even hear you right now.
What we'll do, what Mr. Kopnicki, what I will do is meet with Justin Weaver, the mayor's assistant, and try to just double check on the OWL, the Wi-Fi here in City Hall, and my computer, and we'll make sure that we're all good to go. I will note that we don't have this issue with, or didn't actually in today's hearing with any other applicant or member of the public. The woman who just presented, for example, 541 was loud and clear, but we will absolutely make sure on our end that it's not our issue.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Do any of you ever listen to the YouTube recordings of your meetings to hear what the public, what the public might hear? And does anyone, or does Mr.
I'm sorry to say,
You're changing our agenda and we have other business to cover. You made your comment on the sound.
Do you have what other business do you have to cover?
That's
not on the agenda.
Then there's two new, on the agenda, there's two new items, right?
I thought,
They're no.
I thought there
Is
was
there
no
any-
one there for those items.
You are
Jen, you
correct.
have anything else?
No, we're good.
I would like
make a
to
motion to adjourn. I'll make that.
Wait a minute. What was
Wait.
this, Craig?
Hold on.
Craig is
Craig.
here.
Sorry.
Yes, hi Craig.
Hi. What is the status with the sign at 431 Warren Street?
431 Warren Street.
That was
Oh, no, 421.
or
We
421, I'm sorry.
That's okay. 421 Warren Street, Chairman.
We
We approved that signage.
Correct.
Could you, what is, Ryan doing now? It's got 2 weeks.
That's correct.
You're where?
Okay.
Okay.
What happens is a certificate of appropriateness prepared by the city attorney. We vote on it at the next meeting. If there's some urgency that you need to address with your sign vendor or whatever, the only person who can give you a proper excuse is Craig. Talk to Craig if there's urgency, because there's not going to be an issue with this going forward. It's our process that is voted this.
So did you hear that, Craig?
Yeah, I heard it was approved, but the applicant will contact me and we'll get them going.
Correct. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, we were back to the motion to adjourn. Paul and Kim, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. So, it was extraordinary.
Bye, everybody.
Can't you leave the meeting?